We spend our entire day comparing things. Is this coffee stronger than yesterday's? Is this the fastest way to get to work? It's something we do without even thinking. But have you ever really thought about the rules behind it? Like, why do we say stronger but not beautifuler? Well, that's exactly what we're going to untangle today.
I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? Getting this right is what makes you sound sharp and clear. It's a subtle thing, but it makes a huge difference. So let's dive in and get it right.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics, what I call the 3 degrees of description. Then I'm going to let you in on a little secret, the syllable shortcut. It's a game changer. After that, we'll see how it all works in the real world, cover a couple of little spelling quirks, and then wrap it all up with a final takeaway you can start using immediately. Okay, let's do this. Section 1, the 3 degrees of description. Before we get into any tricks or shortcuts, we really got to nail down the foundation. Think of these as the 3 basic levels of talking about, well, anything. And just so you know, everything we're talking about today is pulled from this one source. It lays out all the core rules, and our job here is to basically unpack it and make it super easy to remember. So it all boils down to these 3 degrees. First up, you've got the positive. This is just a simple description. That's a strong coffee. Easy, right? Then comes the comparative, and as the name suggests, it's for comparing 2 things. This coffee is stronger than that one. And finally, you have the superlative. This is for the champion, the winner out of a group of 3 or more. This is the strongest coffee in the whole cafe. And hey, this isn't just for adjectives. The same exact logic works for adverbs, those words that describe actions. A pitcher can throw the ball forcefully, or she can throw it more forcefully than the other pitcher, or she can throw it the most forcefully on the entire team. See, it's the exact same ladder, just with different kinds of words. Okay, section 2. Now for the secret sauce that makes all of this click. Seriously, you can forget about memorizing 100 different grammar rules. You really only need to remember this one thing, what I'm calling the syllable shortcut. The real key, the thing that tells you whether to add and est, or to use more and most, it all comes down to one tiny little action that takes less than a second. You just count the syllables. That's it. That's the shortcut. Is it a short word or is it a long word? Once you know that, you know exactly what to do. It really is that simple. All right, section 3, it's time to put our syllable shortcut to the test. Let's see how this one little trick works for pretty much any word you can throw at it. Let's start with the easy ones. Those short, punchy words with just one syllable. Words like tall, low, fast, big. These are the simplest of all. For these little one-syllable guys, the rule is automatic. You just tack on to compare 2 things, and est to crown the winner. Tall becomes taller, then tallest. Low becomes lower, then lowest. Simple as that. Okay, now for the 2-syllable words. This is where things get a little more interesting, because this is really the only category where you have to use your ear just a little bit. Trust me, your ear is your best guide here. Take a word like quiet. Saying quieter sounds totally fine, totally natural. But what about quickly? Have you ever heard anyone say quicklier? It just sounds clunky, right? It's awkward. And that's your signal. If it sounds weird, don't do it. Just use more or most instead. So it's more quickly. Same deal for comparing downwards with less and least. And finally, we get to the big words. Anything with 3 or more syllables. And I've got good news for you. This rule is the absolute easiest one of them all. For these long words, you never add an ER or EST. I mean, could you even imagine trying to say magnificentlier? It's a total tongue twister. So the rule is you always use more and most, or less and least. More magnificently, most magnificently. No exceptions. It's a non-negotiable for the long words. Okay, section 4, spelling quirks. We have totally mastered the main syllable rules. So now it's time for the final polish. There are just a couple of quick spelling changes you need to know about for when you're adding those and est endings. There are really just 2 little tweaks you gotta watch out for. First, if you have a short word like big that ends in a consonant-vowel-consonant pattern, you double that last letter before adding the ending, so you get bigger with 2 Gs. And second, for words that end in Y, like pretty, you just swap that Y for an I before you add the ending, and that's how you get prettier. All right, let's bring it all home with your final takeaway. We've gone through the degrees, we've learned the syllable shortcut, and we've covered the spelling. So here is a dead simple checklist to put it all together.
Here it is, your 4-step cheat sheet. Number 1, find your describing word. 2, count those syllables. 3, apply the right rule, either add the ending or use more or most. And finally, step 4, do a quick spelling check. That's it. You can run through that mental checklist every single time. So, at the end of the day, these rules aren't just about passing a grammar test. They're about making what you say more precise, more powerful, and honestly, just sound better. You now have all the tools you need to describe things not just correctly, but most magnificently. So my question to you is, what will you go out and describe?